Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I thought I would make this video because this is something that came up a while back. It might be months before this video's up, of course. But, someone pointed out to me that they weren't aware this was my training philosophy in a community tab post I made saying, look, I get tired of answering people's 531 questions, first of all. Go talk to Wendler. Number two, people were asking me every single live stream. Sometimes new people were coming in and asking this a second or third time in the same live stream of hey, is it okay to deadlift after squatting on boring but big? And the same on the squat day or the deadlift day, right? To do the heavy work with the squat, then do the first assistance movement as a deadlift, and then vice versa. Can they alternate lifts? And I'm like, no, you shouldn't do this. And to my knowledge, based upon Wendler's more current writings, he doesn't think you should do it either. And I don't program that way because keep in mind, a heavy light system, is primary training days, has for years been my biggest training philosophy. It is what I do with clients. It's even how my conjugate stuff is obviously based, which is what conjugate's based upon. Is this same concept, like the max effort days are a perfect example. Max effort work followed by pump work, so on and so forth. But what you usually see, again, especially we do it more with the bench days, the conjugate, it may not follow that way, but it always did when I used to do pure max effort phases, right? Where I would do max effort 4 days a week. You would see exactly that. I would do an LME squat followed by back off work of some type of squat. LME deadlift followed by some type of back off work on the deadlift. That's how I trained. It works. It works and it's very effective. So, let's talk about that a little bit. Why? Why don't we just change the lifts? What is the benefit of keeping them the same? Because people say, well, you could do it either way. Well, you can. I don't think it's optimal. All right. It's like I've said in other videos, when we do our heavy work first, you do a training max triple, an AMRAP set within technical failure, such as the plus sets on 531. Right? When we've done this stuff with a heavy weight, we have attenuated and fatigued all the available motor units and upper threshold muscle fibers in that exercise. Okay, that is what we've done. At that point, we can even laugh and say it doesn't even matter, was your bench more pec or tricep dominant? Because if we start getting to those sort of levels, it becomes irrelevant, doesn't it? We know based upon even EMG data, the activation starts maximizing in every primary mover involved, unless they're a very minor primary mover, like hamstrings on a squat or something maybe. Okay, not so much. Front delts, pecs, triceps, all available hits. If there's a bench, that's exactly what happens. All right, as we get real heavy. You see where we're going with this? These things have all been fatigued. They've all been attenuated. When we do the back off work, that's why I've pointed out we can run 10s at 50% of your max and just pump volume on them, and we will grow like a weed off of this. Okay? They're also harder, and that's important. Your tonnage isn't even going to be forced lower because you have exhausted. You've already hit the highest threshold available motor units. They are walking into those sets fatigued. They get reactivated easier on the set. Okay? They get reactivated easier. They're continuing to get fatigued, and then it forces all the intermediate fibers to reach very high levels of fatigue very quickly when we start training in that manner. All right, that's exactly what happens. All right. So what's the point? What's the benefit there? Easier muscle growth, more efficient muscle growth. Even when using slightly lighter weights, we can recover from easier. It gives you, again, easier on your joints, easier on your recovery. When we switch lifts, we've changed the muscles involved. And I'm not saying there's not a lot of overlap between a squat and a deadlift. There is, particularly things like glutes. Right? We could argue, a conventional deadlift and a back squat. Sure. Sure, absolutely. We're definitely going to hit the glutes maximally with both. But the other stuff isn't. Deadlift's going to use a lot more back. It's going to use more hamstring. Okay, did your lats and traps and hamstrings hit those upper threshold muscle fibers? Did they get hit to the same degree? No, of course not. Sure, your glutes did on the squat, but if you deadlift after, what's happened? You've lost all that. All right, come back over to the squat. Quads use a lot more than the deadlift. I'm not saying the deadlift is not a quad exercise, just because it is, but to a dramatically different magnitude. If you've deadlifted first, we haven't reached that same threshold. Also, you deadlift first, it can make your back become a weak link in the squat all of a sudden. Okay. So now your squat volume starts turning into potential low back volume. Actually, you start seeing form breakdown potentially even on the rep squats because of the fatigue in the back from the deadlift you did first. Then our quads and our adductors don't get worked as much. Right, they don't get worked as much. So a system like this works, and it works very well. It's very efficient. It's time proven. It's simple. And that's the problem. Because it is so time proven and simple and it works, people feel like they need to change it because it can't work. It's too simple. I've got to deadlift after a heavy squat for volume because that's more complicated than just squatting afterwards. And I threw in, of course, here at the end some good mornings too in the background because that's a hip hinge. Because I do good mornings a lot of times after the deadlift. All right? But it's a hip hinge like the deadlift still. All right, there's our key. There's our key. It's how we make it work. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.